Welcome back to our weekly Parshat Shir on Sefer or Gedalyahu. I hope you've had a good week and that you're preparing for a wonderful Shabbos ahead. In our Parsha of Vayishlach this week, we see Yaakov's name being changed to Yisrael after a long night of battling with the angel at Ma'avar Yabok as he's on his journey and on his way back into Eretz Canaan after struggling and toiling and working for so many years for Lavan. And at the end of the night, at the end of this great fight between the angel and Yaakov, Yaakov asks to be released, and the angel says to him, Vayomer Elav, he says to Yaakov, Ma shemecha, what is your name? Vayomer Yaakov, he says, my name is Yaakov. After which the angel says to him, Vayomer, Lo Yaakov ye'amer od shimcha ki im Yisrael. Your name will no longer be called Yaakov, but rather it will be called Yisrael. And right here in the pasuk, the angel gives the reason why Yaakov's name is being changed at this point and why it's being changed to the word Yisrael. Ki sarita im Elokim ve'im anashim vatucha, because you struggled with people and you were successful, you were victorious. And the name Yisrael comes from the word sarita, which is to struggle. Rashi explains here what the significance of the name Yaakov is and Yisrael is and why it's being changed over here and what the significance of the change is. He says, Lo ya'amer od she'habrachos ba'u lecha be'ikva u'berimiya ki'im bisrara u'begilui panim. At this point in your life, he says, the brachos that you received, the great blessings that you received and will receive, and the prosperous nature of your life will no longer be attributed to the trickery that you used in order to get it, the way that you went around your father, and the way that you went around Lavan, the way that you went around Esav. All these chapters of your life where you had to resort to these methods which were not really so straight and narrow will no longer be what people see as they see your success. But rather, at this point in your life, they will see that you're successful because you were victorious, because you were strong, because you took charge, you were successful over Lavan, you were successful over Esav, and you were able to be a very prosperous person in your life. I think what Rashi is telling us is that the word Yaakov, the name Yaakov, represents not only the idea of trickery, but also, if you think about it, it represents weakness. It comes from the word akev, which is a heel. It's something that's trampled on. It symbolizes perhaps Yaakov's nature as a downtrodden person, as a person that's taken advantage of, that needs to rise to the top by skirting the issues rather than facing them head on. It also is the name that was given to him at birth because he was holding on to Akev Esav. He was always grabbing hold, literally, of the coattails of the person after him, the person stronger than him, the person more successful than him. Yaakov is representative, perhaps, of the chapter of weakness in his life. But Yisrael, from the word sarita, represents strength. It represents victory. It represents his strong capacity for accomplishment as a human being. One question arises as to the name change in the Parsha, which is why it is that in Perek Lamed we see the angel change his name from Yaakov to Israel, and then later on in the Parsha in Perek Lamed Hey, after Yaakov re-enters Eretz Canaan, we see that Hashem changes his name all over again. Pasuk says, Vayira Elokim el Yaakov od beba'o mi Padan Aram vayivarech oto, that Hashem reappears to Yaakov after his journey home from Padan Aram, and he blesses him. What does he bless him with? He blesses him with a new name. Vayomer lo Elohim shimcha Yaakov lo yikare shimcha od Yaakov ki im Yisrael yeshemecha vayikrat shmo Yisrael. He says, no longer shall your name be Yaakov, rather it shall be Israel. And Hashem gave him the name Yisrael. Why do we have to learn here that Hashem gave him the name Yisrael? We already know that the angel changed his name from Yaakov to Yisrael. Why does it seem to be repeated over here? Though many answers have been given, the Radak points out that perhaps earlier, if we look carefully, the angel doesn't actually change his name to Yaakov. All he does is tell him that at some point in the future his name will be changed. The Radak says, Umasha Amar lo hamalach lo Yaakov ye'amer od shimcha. When the angel says, your name will not be called Yaakov anymore, Bisorahi, Shebasru sha'kadosh baruch hu yikra shmo Yisrael, All the angel was telling him in that moment is, Lo yi'amer shimcha od. In the future, your name will not be called Yaakov anymore. Why? Because when you get to Beit El, Hashem will change your name. Then when we get to that passage in Perek Lamed Hey, we see God giving him the name. We never saw the angel give him the name. We only saw the angel perhaps foreshadow what might come later in the story. There is something unique about the name change of Yaakov, which makes it different than the other name changes in the Torah. And that is that his new name of Israel does not come to replace or supersede his earlier name of Yaakov. In fact, if you continue to look at the Torah past Parshat Vayishlach, you see the name Yaakov come up over and over. You also see the name Israel used. Both are used. Now you'd have to do a real study of each time the name Yaakov and Israel are mentioned to kind of track why one is used over the other and what the context is and what the significance is. But just a plain look at the text reveals very clearly that the name Israel does not supersede Yaakov, but is simply added to it. And the Gemara understood that as well. The Gemara in Brachos Daf Yud Gimel says, Kol hakore Avraham Avram, over ba'aseh or over below ta'aseh, whoever calls Avram by his earlier name is actually violating a commandment, either a positive commandment or a negative commandment. We're specifically not supposed to use the name Avram again. And if you look at the Torah, after Abraham's name is changed to Avraham, the name Avram is never mentioned again. Same with Sarah. The name Sarai is never mentioned again. Even by Yehoshua, the name Hosea is never mentioned again. When people's names are changed, they're changed for good, and they don't go back and forth. But with Yaakov, both are used, and both are used sometimes even interchangeably. The only question, as the Gemara there in Brachos says, is which one is Ikar, which one is Tafel, perhaps which is the superior name, or the more important name, or the more significant pronounced name, and which is the lesser important one. But there's no question that both are used, and that both are correct, and that it's okay to mention them. The Gedalyahu explains, based on the Sfas Emes, the first Gera Rebbe, that the double name that Yaakov receives is indicative of an amazing quality of our ancestor Yaakov. He says, Ki shmo shel Adam moreh al etzem mahus ha'adam. What is a name, says the Gedalyahu, in the name of the Sfas Emes? What is a name? A name, as we know, symbolizes the essence, the mahus, the inside nature of a human being. And it represents a human being's task in this world. And he says if a person totally fulfills that task, they totally rise to become the person they're destined to be. They totally fulfill the role of their mahus, of their inner being, like Yaakov does. Then they get a new name and they get a new task. He says, "V'Yaakov tiken es ha'avoda shel Hashem Yaakov b'milu'o." Yaakov so accomplished his nature as a Yaakov that he completed the task. He completely completed his task that he was destined to do in this world. Ukshegama Yaakov avodaso, when Yaakov was finished with this service, with this work, az zacha l'shem Yisrael. Then he merited to get a new name, a new task, represented by the word Yisrael, avodah chadasha, a new task, a new avoda, a new capacity, a new role as a human being, a new angle in his relationship with Hashem. There was an entirely new element added to his life. That didn't mean that he didn't continue to be a Yaakov, that he didn't continue to emanate from that trait of Yaakov that he always had, that carried into this point in his life. He didn't abandon that. It didn't get erased somehow. But now there was a new name, represented the next stage of his development, the next stage of his existence in the world and of everything that he could accomplish. And the Gedalyahu says that this is supported by a word in the Pasuk when Hashem gives him the name Yaakov. The word od is used. Lo yikare shimcha od Yaakov ki im Yisrael. It didn't have to say od. Torah could have just said, Lo yikare shimcha Yaakov ki im Yisrael. Why does it have to say od in addition? Classically, the Mefarshim interpret this word od in one of two ways. Rashi says od is pam sheni b'makom hazeh. The od, the addition in the pasuk, is not saying that additionally your name should not be called Yaakov anymore but Israel. Not a reference to the name, it's a reference to the place. God blessed him in this place of Beit El. Again, od. He blessed him once there as he left for Lavan's house, and now he encounters Hashem again in that place as he returns. That's the ode. The Ramban says the ode is a reference to the name of Yaakov being changed to Yisrael. It is a reference to the name, but really it's actually an echo of what we learned in the Gemara in Brachos. The Ramban says the ode is Yirmos, it hints to us, Shekarat Shmo Yisrael, Mosaf al Yaakov, that God calls him Yisrael in addition to the name Yaakov, not in replacement of the name Yaakov, but in addition to it. Lo sheyesar likare Yaakov. It's not forbidden for us to call him Yaakov by any stretch of the imagination. That's still his name. That's the ode. But the Gedalyahu says something else. He says that the ode informs us about Yaakov's second name, Yisrael, and about his new avodah, about his new tafkid, about his new role in this world. He says, Hamalach shekara b'shem Yisrael, ze haya mitzad hanitzachon shelo al tzad hara. He says, really, Yaakov's name was changed twice, from Yaakov to Israel. Unlike the Radak, who says it was just a premonition that the Malach was saying one day his name would be changed, the Gedalyahu hints to the fact that his name really was changed by the angel, but the essence of the change was coming from a place that wasn't so positive. It was coming from a place of Ra. It was coming from a place of Nitzachon, of victory. Kamoshe Mefurash, as it says in the Pasuk, Kisarita. That's the whole point that the Malach tells him, is his name is Yisrael because he battled, he waged war, and he was victorious. That's not the most positive connotations. Hashem renames him Yisrael again, but emanating from not a place of war and of victory over someone else or something else, but from a positive place. Now that he gets the name from God, Zacha lekochos nosafos, kochos odius. Right now when he gets the name Israel, what it signifies for him is the sense and the power of od, of more. He's given a new role in life, a new task in life, a new drive in life, a new sense of accomplishment in life, a new connection with the world, with life, and with Hashem, a new added sense of Kedusha. And that's reflected in the word od that's being used here in the Pasuk. God gives him a name od. He gives him the same name again. Just like the Malach changed it from Yaakov to Israel, Hashem changes it again. And with that od, he gives him a new task, a new role, and a new sense of purpose in the world. This expansive role of Yaakov was directed at one thing in specific. His ability, leharchiv hagevulim de kedusha yoter mikafi kochotav, to expand the boundaries of holiness in the world even beyond what any human being was capable of. This idea that Yaakov was an expander, he took the boundaries, so to speak, of Kedusha, of holiness in this world, and expanded them. He exploded the spirituality and sense of godliness in this world to everything, every place, every being, every moment, every experience. He did not only add Kedusha in specific context, in places where it was easy to do so. He did so in places that were difficult. He did so in Lavan's house. He did so on his journey. He did so as he was chasing and running for his life. He did so as he returned. He did so in his re-encounter with Esav. He did so in raising a family that would inherit the values of Kedusha, and so on and so forth. He was an expander. And actually, that role as an expander is reflected in a pasuk in Yeshayahu, in a Gemara in Masechus Shabbos. Pasuk in Yeshayahu says, "Az tisanag al Hashem v'yirchavticha al bamot haaretz." He says, Yeshayahu says, one day you'll take pleasure in God, and God will expand the boundaries of your land. V'hachalticha nachalat Yaakov avicha, and you will be fed, you will be given the expansive territory, the nachala of Yaakov, your forefather. And the Gemara in Shabbos comments on this pasuk, and it says that this pasuk indicates that Yaakov has a special sense of expansiveness. Lo Avraham shekasav bo kum hisalech ba'aretz. By Avram, it just says, get up and walk within the land. Le'orka or le'rochba, in its width and in its length, but within the borders of the land. Velo ki Yitzchak shekasuv bo ki lecha u'zaracha tenet kol ha'aretzo da'el. And even by Yitzchak, God tells him, I'm going to give you all of these lands, these areas, these specific designated areas. Ela ki Yaakov, but rather the pasuk refers to Yaakov because it's Yaakov in specific who gets the bracha of expansiveness from God. Shekasuv bo, it says by Yaakov, Faratzta yama v'kedma tzafona v'negba v'nivrachu becha. You're going to expand everywhere, east, west, north, south. Everyone's going to be blessed by you. The blessing is that he increases the kedusha of the world. He's a person who was able to see beyond the narrow confines of his vision and of his life and of his previous experiences and see new avenues, new vistas for being able to bring godliness into his life, into the world, and into the lives of others. Yaakov perhaps is a model of spiritual expansiveness and achievement. And I think Yaakov's new name, Yisrael, that name of Gilui Panim and victoriousness, is not a victoriousness of war, but it's a name that symbolizes his victory, so to speak, in being able to truly apprehend the sense of holiness of God and fuse that with the experience of this world, something that each of us can try to achieve as well. Yaakov's name, Yisrael, which is passed on for all time to the Jewish people who are called by his name, perhaps is in order to challenge each and every one of us to tap into that koach, to that power, to that atzmius, to that mahus, to that inner sense of Yaakov, of being an expander of Kedusha, and challenge ourselves to think about how we are marchiv Kedusha. How do we expand Kedusha? How do we bring Kedusha into the mundane, holiness into everyday lives, experiences, times, and events? May we be successful at doing so, and by doing that, really relive the legacy that Yaakov has left us. Shabbat Shalom.